Hi there. Hello, Ms. Louise. Good evening. Can you hear me? Okay, we are waiting for the other people to gather. But if you can hear me, could you please write something in the chat? Write yes, for example. If you could use the chat, write something if you can hear me now. Could you please write your names in the chat to register the names? Ms. Louise, write your name, your phone number, and your email to register you in the program. Okay, Ms. Hannah joined now. Welcome, Ms. Hannah. And
Welcome.
welcome on board. I'd like you today to use the chat. You can type in the chat for answering if you cannot answer me on the phone or the mic. I mean the mic. If you couldn't speak in the mic, you can type anything you want to articulate in the chat. Okay. I hope the screen is clear in front of you now. Assessing listening. This is our topic for today. And yes. I think you remember the workshop of last time. It was about assessing what? You remember?
Yes, assessing reading.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Last workshop was about assessing reading. We handled it together last time and discussed how to assess reading, and before we discussed how to assess reading, we defined the reading process and we discussed the types of reading. And today I'm going to start now assessing listening. So, as you know, reading and listening, two types of skills. You know that skills divided into two kinds, the receptive skills and productive skills. So we had last time the reading skill and today listening skill or the skill of listening. So these are the two of them are types of productive or receptive types or skill.
Receptive.
Receptive. It's also Miss Hannah. Thank you. Now we move to this question. Listening versus hearing. So what's the difference between listening and hearing? Think about it, please. If you would like to type on the chat, answer this and type. If you would like to speak loud out, it's okay. So think, what's the difference between listening and hearing? Okay,
Yes.
is Hannah ready to tell us?
Okay, I'm typing a sentence.
Yes, listening and hearing. How could you differentiate between these two, Miss Hannah?
I think here hearing is one of the five sense, five
Yes,
senses.
yes,
It
hearing.
means hear a sound. But listening is to understand that sound. When we hear without intending. But listening, I intend to listen to a certain sound and understand it.
Amazing, Miss Hannah. Thank you so much. This is perfect. Hearing means that uh, you hear something accidentally. You don't intend to uh, listen, just to hear, just the sound flowing into your ears, and you don't concentrate on that. But the listening process means that you concentrate in a certain sound or certain voice for somebody, and this voice or sound goes to your mind, and your mind make a certain process and many processes that maybe like comparing the sound with the words you have in your mind, or comparing the expressions you hear with the types of information and expressions in your mind. So here we have a mind that works and interact with the thing you hear with the intention into listen. But if you don't have the intention to listen, to concentrate, so you just hear the flowing sound comes to your ears. So, although listening is receptive, it's definitely not passive. You know the meaning of this sentence?
معلش أنا لسه داخلة دلوقتي تاني بعد ما انفصل مني معلش.
Never mind. You don't miss much, Miss Hannah. We still in the same domain, the same area. Although we have this sentence here, although listening is effective, it's definitely not passive. I can see Ms. Zainab with us. Ms. Zainab, if it's your first time to share with us, to participate, just send me the name, email, and mobile phone to register you in the program. Ms. Zainab, send me uh, your email, phone number, and full name to register you in the program as a mentee. And now move back to listening and hearing, listening versus hearing. Although listening is receptive, it's definitely not passive. Not passive because your mind works, as I told you, but while hearing, is it passive or active process when you hear? Listening is not passive, it's active because your mind works. What about hearing?
It's passive.
It's passive. Amazing, Ms. Hana. That's correct. While listening, the brain does uh, many things. We can call it the cognitive interaction while listening, but hearing just unintentional process. Listening versus hearing, we can say that here a sound or noise comes into your ear without you making an effort. But when you listen, when you pay attention and try to listen to sounds. Okay?
Yes.
Now move to the question here. Why is it difficult for many teachers to test listening? Very important question here. It's a challenging question. So think about it and prepare yourself to share with your answer. Why is it difficult for many teachers to test listening? Okay, any answers? Why is it difficult for many teachers to test listening?
Because listening depends on the test takers and their needs.
Amazing. This is one side of the answer. This is correct. Thank you, Ms. Hana. And I can tell you that teacher can't see it. This is a problem. The problem is you cannot see the listening. The students listen in the activity or in the task you are giving, but you cannot touch it. You cannot put your hand on his understanding um, or his analysis. You cannot be sure or measure it exactly. Teacher hardly measures it, but teacher does need to test whether someone is a good listener or not. Okay, understood?
Yes.
If okay, write one. I insist. أنا مصر بقى تكتبه في الشات علشان أعرف الناس متفاعلة مع الشات واللي لسه مش بيعرفوا يستخدموه. يا جماعة شات ماشي. ناس لويس استخدمت الشات وقالت الصوت مش واضح كويس.
أنا كتبت مرة واحدة.
اوكي مستر عبد الدايم teachers themselves don't have rules. يعني why
أنا كتبت في البداية.
اوكي مس لويس كتبت 1 مس اسماء كتبت 1 اوكي ثانك يو فور انتراكشن. كده احنا بنعرف نشتغل على الشات. يا ريت اللي عنده سؤال اللي عنده اجابه اللي عنده you want to follow up just write in the chat. If you cannot speak up with us you can write in the chat. Rules for testing listening. Okay, today we are discussing Mr. Abdeldaim the rules for testing listening. Not just testing listening, but assessing listening, because assessing is a comprehensive terminology wider than test. As we discussed before, you remember the difference between assessment and testing. احنا
Yes.
شبهناها كده بايه؟
Train.
اوكي لكن التستنج وال
Train in the
mirror.
يس ميرور صح يا سناء. ميرور اند
photo. Camera.
mirror
Taking a
and
photo.
a camera. Okay. Assessment is like looking at the mirror, but testing is like taking a photo. Okay.
ما تدري ما عملش ولا حاجة.
أنت قاعد في الشارع ولا إيه يا عبد؟
Now move to this slide. Brain and listening. What's happening in the brain while you listen, or what's happening to your students' brains while they listening in a task? Brain must be really active to listen so quickly. طبعا according to the level of the listener انت بتدي الاكتيفيتي. ممكن يبقى الشخص you are giving the activity to is a beginner, intermediate level or advanced level. So السرعة والليفل بتاع speaking for the listener بيختلف according to the level of the learner. لكن in all situations the listener needs to have an active mind just to put all his intention into what he is listening to. يعني محتاج بيبقى listener very deep listening to understand and analyze what he is listening to. So, what is listening? If we would like to put a definition for listening, we can come out with this one definition. Definitions of listening may vary, but this is one of them. Listening is clearly a highly complex process. Why is it complex process? Because the listener is listening and his mind is receiving the message. His mind make many processes together, very complex to interpret what the brain listening to and to compare with the listening and the words or expressions previously exist in his mind. It involves both sound recognition and an ability to make sense of these sounds to understand a message. This is one definition for listening. And move to the question, very important question, and you can compare between listening and reading in these types. Maybe you can see some similarity in some types of listening and reading that you know before. Could you tell me what are the types of listening? How could we classify it?
As a skill?
Yes, as a skill or as any other classification you see.
I think listening for details.
Listening for details, amazing. Yes.
Listening for main ideas.
Main ideas, or listening for gist. Okay.
And listening for attitude.
Amazing. Listening for attitude. Miss Hannah, you are always ready to share and participate. Thank you so much. I'm writing the names now of the participants. I can see Miss Asma Mahfouz, Miss Hannah Ahmed, Mr. Abd Daim, Mr. Ammar. Mr. Ammar A. Mu'min. Mr. Ammar Ahmed or what? Mr. Ammar Ahmed Mu'min or what? Miss Louise Radi. Miss Zainab محمد. هحتاج الأسماء رباعية فول نيم، يا ريت مس زينب تبعت لي فول نيم والإيميل وموبايل فون علشان to register here in the program as a mentee عشان تستفيد بالبرنامج بشكل documented أفضل من إن هي تبقى as a visit يعني. Okay, Mr. عمار مؤمن، عمار أحمد مؤمن or عمار عبد المنعم مؤمن or what؟ ممكن يا مستر في الشات تكتب لي الاسم.
عمار عبد المنعم.
عمار عبد المنعم. Okay. Thank you. What are the types of listening? Miss Hannah told us amazing things that greatly like what we are going to see here. One, listening for gist. Please look carefully and concentrate on that because we have an exercise together after we finish. بعد ما نخلص الفايف تايبس دول هنعمل exercise حلو خالص كده مع بعض عن التايبس of listening قبل ما نروح للموقع الممتاز يعني. Don't leave before we finish because at the end of our workshop هناخد موقع على الإنترنت وهنشتغل عليه يعني you'll try it here. It's an amazing site we use to listen and to make listening activities to our students, and in the same time we use it to assess listening and make tests and quizzes. So the first type of listening is listening for gist. Gist is general understanding. Students do not have to understand every word because the idea is clear enough. So if you want just to اللي احنا سميناه skimming in the reading, if you remember in the reading
Yes.
last time, we can decide a type of reading just to skim. To skim means like listening for gist or reading for gist. Just to take a general idea from understanding the reading text or the listening text you are listening to. This is number one, listening for gist. For concentrate, please concentrate, because in the exercise, I'll give you a situation, okay? I'll give you an imaginative situation and you decide which one of these types is with the other one. The second type of listening is listening for specific information. Listening for keywords and important ideas. Students focus more on the main points and should be ready to note down answers. So listening for specific information, again, I can explain it for you. If you listen or your student listens to a specific information in the listening text. So you want to take out or get out with a certain information in the listening. You are
highlights,
searching for something. Okay, Mr. Abdel?
Scanning.
highlights.
The highlight?
No, scanning.
Yes.
Not exactly, Mr. Abdel. It's like what? Like
Scanning.
scanning.
And reading.
تمام يا مس. like scanning. في الريدنج قلنا reading for scanning, just scan. لكن انت في الليسننج بتعمل كده ايه؟ مش هنقدر نقول عليها scanning بالظبط، ولكن listening for specific information. You are concentrating to get just this information and neglect the other information you don't need in the listening text. Number three, listening for detail. Listening for detail, listening to someone speaking and trying to get as much information as you can. Like
intensive reading.
Sorry? Okay, miss?
And like the intensive reading.
Like intensive, yes. Like intensive reading. Intensive reading, you want to get all the information in the reading text. This is the same thing in listening for detail. You listen very carefully, very deeply to get all information in the speech you listen to. Number four, listening for inferred meaning. Inferred meaning, students guess the meaning from what someone has said. The answer may not be clear, so they are paying attention to cues. Okay, يعني زي ايه مثلا؟ For example, لما تيجي مثلا بيبقى في dialogue between you and me. Okay, and dialogue between two person and you listen علشان تكون بتمتحن مثلا تويفل او ايلتس او حاجه كده، امتحان لغه مثلا، او بتسمع عشان تجاوب على اسئله. ف you listen to words and think about what's behind the speech. يعني لو اتنين بيتكلموا يقول لك ايه؟ Okay, are you convinced? Are you convinced with my في ايكو يا جماعه؟ في ايكو عند حد، في حد حاطط جهاز قدام جهاز. اوكي. اوكي. في لسه في ايكو. الانفيرنج يعني you listen to something and think what's behind this speech. Like أنا بسألك are you convinced with my speech؟ تقول لي إيه؟ I smell a rat. I smell a rat. هنا ممكن it depends on الكلام depends on the culture. يعني ممكن الكالتشر بتأثر إنك ما تعرفش معنى الإكسبريشن فما تفهمش الانفيرنس أو what the person infer to بيعني ايه او what behind the words. فمعنى ان I smell a rat معناها I convinced or not, yes or no. لما تسألني are you convinced do you believe me فهقول لك I smell a rat.
Yeah.
It means yes or no.
Yes.
It means no. I smell a rat. It's American expression meaning that I feel something wrong. So I'm not convinced with you. The fifth one, the fifth type of listening is listening for attitude, as Miss Hannah mentioned before. What's the meaning of that? What's the meaning of listening for attitude? Listening for attitude, focusing on the tone and on some keywords, listeners try to work out the behavior and feelings of the speakers. For example, whether they are enthusiastic or annoyed, bored or interested, kind or aggressive. Here we listen and guess what's the behavior or what's the feeling that I got from the speaker. Okay, I think now you are ready for this snappy check. We have a speedy check or snappy check about the types of listening. The question here, decide the type of listening from the following situation. I'll give you some situations and you decide, is it listening for just or for specific information, for detail, for inferred meaning, or for attitude? Okay. The first imaginative situation here saying, you would typically listen to a film review because all you are really interested in is whether the film is good or not. Read again slowly and think and choose the answer of these five. You would typically listen to a film review because all you are really interested in is whether the film is good or not. Is it listening?
Listening for details.
Attitude. Listening for attitude.
Listening for attitude. What's your answer, Mr. Abdul Daim? What your answer was?
For details.
Listening
Yes,
For details.
listening for inferring meaning.
You would
Inferring meaning.
listen to a film review because all you are really interested in is whether the film is good or not. So what do you need? You need a general idea for the movie. Just a general idea and say it's good, no, it's bad, according to the general idea. So here is the listening for
inferred meaning.
listening for
No.
this. You know why? You know why listening for just?
Cause review.
Yeah, it's just a review.
Review.
Film review.
Yes.
It means like I'm talking about a certain movie for you, just to give you an idea, give you a general idea about the movie, and you judge it, it's good or it's bad. So all what I need to listen to the general idea of the movie. So this is listening for gist. Okay? I'm not listening to know the events and the details of the movie. I'm just want to know a general idea. So I'm listening for just. ما تنسوش حضراتكم انه بعد دقائق
Yes.
قليلة
Yes.
هيفصل
I will say.
وترجعوا لللينك تاني ومحدش يزوغ، اللي هينط من السور بتاع الورك شوب ومش هيرجع هو حر. في اخر الورك شوب في عندنا موقع ممتاز هتدرب عليه التلاميذ بتوعك على الليسننج، يعني اتس اميزنج. اوكي، هنستخدمه مع بعض here and you will use it later with your students. ف after the Zoom stops we will come back وهنكمل ال types of listening مع بعض الاكسرسايز ده، وهنشوف ازاي ممكن نعمل assessment for listening بشكل academic and professionally، وبعد كده هنشتغل على site we use، يعني عشان كده نبقى بنستخدم ال ICT for assessing listening، ومش بس ال assessing، احنا بنستخدم الموقع ده اللي هنشوفه to make activities، يعني في موجود فيه hundreds of activities listening activities for the students، and after the activity الموقع بيدينا some quizzes short tests وممكن exams كلها في listening accompanied with a marvelous videos، فهتبقى very attractive for students. اوكي، فهنستعد بعد ثواني قليلة لقطع البرنامج ونرجع له تاني من نفس اللينك. قدامكم ال question number 2 عشان to think about لغاية ما يطلع علينا الزوم ونرجع تاني. فنمبر 2 بتقول you listen to announcements at a train station. You are only interested in knowing which platform your train will depart from.